Welcome back to Alexploring. I'm Alex, and I am here on the north side of Columbus today to find some Ohio historical markers. I'm starting my day off here at Minerva Lake, where we will learn about the lake and the Green Line here. Let's get started. All right, so here is the first Ohio historical marker. This is marker number 8525, Minerva Amusement Park, from July 13th, 1895 to July 27th, 1902. For 7 glorious summers, laughter and gaiety rang forth from the first amusement park in Franklin County. With intoxicants banned, the park was enjoyed by the respectable folk of the gay 90s. The stone-water towered jail was quick to house any ruffian who threatened disharmony. Delighting young and old were the zoological gardens, ornithological museum, scenic railway roller coaster, shoot the chutes, the water slide of its day, swimming, boating, baseball, bowling, concerts, dancing, picnics, strolls in the cool woodlands, pony rides, fireworks, the orchestration replicating a 36-piece orchestra, grand vaudeville, and theater. Minerva's Park's popularity faded with the opening of Olentangy Park, only 3 miles from downtown. So 120 years ago, people were swimming in this lake. There were roller coasters. There was all kinds of amusements. The other side is about the Green Line. At an August 1891 public meeting, Westerville citizens voiced indignation at the failure of the Cleveland-Akron-Columbus Railway Company to provide transportations for 400 passengers who had purchased tickets to the state fair. The regular train had failed to stop, stranding the passengers for hours. Gary Waldo Meeker suggested that an electric railway between Columbus and Westerville would be an indispensable public convenience. 4 years later, he piloted the first electric car of the new Columbus Central Railway Company from Broad and High into Westerville. To encourage ridership, Meeker convinced of a recreation park along the route, located on the 227-acre farmland that he had purchased in July 1892. Accommodating up to 25,000 visitors daily, the park was named in honor of Minerva Shepherd, wife of John S. Shepherd, the first president of the new railway company, not after the Roman goddess, as folklore suggests. And here's a picture. It's like the sun has faded the text on here, but this sketch depicts a car leaving the Westerville barn. So at one point you could take the streetcar down Cleveland Avenue, downtown into Columbus. All right, well, that's our first marker of this video. Let's head on to our next stop. All right, we made it to our next Ohio historical marker here at the St. John African Methodist Episcopal Church. Saw a sign coming in here. It was founded in 1897. So let's learn a little bit about this church. This is number 13725, and it was placed here in 2023. Bethel AME Church was the first African American church in Worthington. Black residents joined Worthington's established churches as early as 1847, or worshiped together in their homes. Peter Banks with D.H. Taborn, Charles Kiner, J.T. Horton, and James Burkhead organized the AME congregation in 1896. Rapid growth moved their meetings to the Worthington Town Hall by 1897. A lot was purchased from Millie Alston on September 24th, 1897, and the house relocated to serve as Bethel Chapel. Local carpenter Chester Hard constructed a new building that was dedicated as St. John AME in 1914. The church has served as the religious and social hub of Worthington's Black community for more than a century. While St. John AME Church retains their original location, worship services moved to 7700 Crosswoods Drive in 2004. All right. We got the steeple here. Let's see if we have... Oh, there is a backside. The Morris Edition. The Morris Edition was Worthington's first platted subdivision, annexed into the town in 1856. The plat included 124 lots bordered by today's East Granville Road, Morning Street, South Street, and Andover Street. In 1854, the Methodist minister, Reverend Uriah Heath, purchased the land from Calvary Morris and George McCullough for $4,000. Lots in the Morris Edition were sold as early as 1855. Deed records indicate that a significant number of free blacks owned land and built or occupied homes in the subdivision from its inception. Family names of African Americans who purchased lots include Turk, Farabee, Scott, Alston, Monroe, Parks, Bell, Carter, Clark, Taborn, and Todd. During the second half of the 19th century, the Morris Edition and its St. John AME Church was a center of Worthington's African American community. All right, there you have it, St. John AME Church. Let's head on over to our next stop. All right, we are here at our next stop at the Ohio State School for the Blind for our next Ohio historical marker, number 6025, placed here in 2003. In 1835, Dr. William Owl of Columbus and Dr. Daniel Drake of Cincinnati presented recommendations to the Ohio General Assembly to establish a school for the blind. Legislation signed by then Governor Duncan MacArthur on April 3, 1837, provided funding to create the first state-supported residential school for the blind in the United States. The Institution for the Education of the Blind opened July 4, 1837, with 5 students. A year later, the first permanent structure housing 60 students was built on a 9-acre tract of land on the eastern part of the city, and that was followed in 1874 with a larger facility near Fulton and Main Streets. The school was honored and recognized in 1937 as being one of the finest schools for the blind in the country. In 1953, a new school for the blind was built at the present location at 5220 North High Street. And it's the same on both sides, so we'll head on over to our next stop here on the north side of Columbus.
There was a historical marker that I was not able to get to because of school being in session, the Ohio School for the Deaf, marker 8825. The Ohio School for the Deaf was established in 1829 by an act of the Ohio legislature. Although the 5th school for the deaf in the country, it was the first school to be 100% funded by the state. The school first opened in the small rented building on the corner of Broad and High Streets. In 1834, construction of a permanent school was completed at the East Town Street location, now site of the Topiary Garden in Old Deaf School Park. It was there in 1869 that Ohio Governor Rutherford B. Hayes presided over the first commencement exercises in the nation for deaf students. By 1940, the school was overcrowded and the buildings were outmoded, leading leading to the purchase of 130 acres on Morse Road. The school, at its current location, opened on November 8th, 1953.
All right, we are here at the Charity Newsies in Clintonville, where we have our next Ohio historical marker. This is marker number 9525, placed here in 2007, the Charity Newsies. The founding of the philanthropic organization Charity Newsies stems from a cold, blustery day in December 1907, when a small newspaper boy stood on the corner of Broad and High Streets. Inside the nearby Billy's Chop House, entertainers George Baker and Harry Shunk talked to C.C. Philbrick, publisher of the new Ohio Sun newspaper, about the area's poor children needing clothing. They noticed the newspaper boy and brought him to the chop house to get warm. On a spur of the moment, they took his newspapers outside, shouting, "It's all for charity," and sold all of the papers. The money was given to the boy. Realizing potential, the men decided to raise additional funds for the poor by selling the Ohio Sun newspaper and recruited others to help. On December 20th, 1907, the Sunday before Christmas, 50 men sold a special edition of the paper and raised $702.42, 100% for charity. Here's a dedication of this flagpole in memory of all the past Charity Newsies and special friends who contributed to the organization in many extra ways. Because of their efforts, thousands of needy school children were provided with adequate clothing for school. That's a great historical marker. All right, let's move on to our next one. All right, we are here at the summit for our final historical marker today, Summit Station. This is put here in 2022. This is 13625. 2210 Summit Street once housed one of Ohio's longest running lesbian bars. In 1970, a lesbian bartender at Jack's A Go-Go recognized that while Columbus had bars for gay men and needed one geared toward lesbian clientele, patrons knew the bar as Jack's. Logan's off Broadway and Summit Stations. Staff welcomed women from small towns, women working in trades, women of color, butch and femme lesbians, and transgender people. Regulars recalled that stepping through the door felt like finally entering a place of true belonging. Women could dance and get together, break up, sing karaoke, party with friends, and celebrate birthdays and holidays. Summit Station remained a safe public space despite ongoing police harassment of its gender nonconforming regulars. A sign posted outside declared "Ladies' Night every night, men $5." It's continued on the back here. In the 1980s, Summit Station was considered the largest women's bar in Columbus. It regularly hosted lesbian musicians, comedians, DJs, an all-female dance troupe, dart and billiard leagues, drag king and dyke queen performers. An effort to give back to its community, Summit Station held benefits for the Children's Hospital FACES program to support women and children affected by HIV, Buckeye Regional Anti-Violence Organization Bravo, Stonewall Union, and the Columbus AIDS Task Force. The bar also sponsored local sports teams as well as the Pace Setters, the longest running team in the National Women's Football League. Although the Short North Gazette declared Summit Station the city's longest standing gay and lesbian bar in 2007, it was closed by 2008. For nearly 40 years, Summit Station provided the LGBTQ plus community a welcoming space in Columbus. All right, that is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the spots here in Columbus that are, have the historical markers. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, and share with a friend, share with family, and spread spread our message of getting all of these Ohio historical markers documented. With that being said, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a nice day, and we'll see you on next time.